It was Abdel Nader and Chris Paul, and the Thunder received Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeQuay, and then a first-round pick in 2022. What are your initial reactions and thoughts to this one, Vish?
So I thought this was a terrific move by the Suns. I think Ricky Rubio being there last year actually helped Devin Booker a lot because they could share ball handling duties. And Ricky Rubio has his problems playing defense and shooting, but he's a really good distributor as a point guard. He's kind of old school European style where he has flair and flash and he passes the ball really well. I think that Ricky Rubio, and I think you don't lose anything there when you replace that with Chris Paul and you add shooting, defense, leadership, toughness with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is as tough, as good a player, I think, he's as tough. I don't know if he's as good a player as I've ever seen in the NBA, but he can be tough, dirty sometimes, but he's tough. I think Chris Paul has been as ideal a point guard as I've ever seen because he can score, he distributes, he's a great leader. His only problem, I think, is that he's 6 feet and he's never been able to play with a player better than him besides one season with James Harden, 2 seasons with James Harden, of which one I thought they could have won the ring if Chris Paul didn't get hurt. So I think that they're going to be in good I think the Suns, this was just an outstanding move. I think this is going to help DeAndre Ayton's growth so much. Imagine him running the pick and roll with Chris Paul. I think it's going to help Devin Booker a lot. Kelly Oubre was good, but they did go 8-0 in the bubble without Kelly Oubre. So I think that they'll be fine without him. And the Suns, to me, there's going to be 2 vacated playoff spots in the West now. I think OKC is going to drop out. And Houston, obviously, we're still waiting for news on James Harden, Russell Westbrook, but I think that Houston's also going to drop out of the playoffs, and I think they will be replaced. And Phoenix by 2 teams, and Phoenix will be one of them for sure.
So my initial reaction was for the Suns. The big winner for the Suns is their culture. Chris Paul instills a good culture in the teams he's been on. I know the Thunder harped on that a bunch in saying how their transition was with him going from Westbrook to Paul. Many people did not think they would make the playoffs. A lot of people projected them to be a bottom 5 team in the West. They made the playoffs. They put up a decent fight against the Rockets in their playoff series. So the Suns are going to get that culture, leadership, and again, Ayton is going to feast this year. I could see him putting up 2012, like without a doubt. He's a good athlete and he's a good center. I think the main loser of the trade is not actually the Thunder or Suns, and I think it's the Clippers. The main reason for that is what the Clippers, in my eyes, were missing is a playmaker because who'd they start? Beverly and Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson. Those were the point guards. Lou Will also. They're not great playmakers for people around them. They can hardly get shots for themselves. Lou Will can, but the other 2 can't. Right. So if they were able to get Chris Paul back, which I don't know what assets they have to be able to do that, but I feel like if they got him back, that would be the best move they could have made because having Kawhi and Paul both for leadership, and then they can both play make pretty well, but only Kawhi and Paul George playmaking is, I think it's going to be their shortcoming again.
So, yes, a couple of things about the Clippers, actually. So, I thought Doc Rivers' coaching held them back. I thought he didn't do much for them on offense. I thought their offense was like watching 2013 OKC with Westbrook brings it up, my turn, throws it to Kevin Durant, your turn. It didn't have a feel or a flow or movement to it. But I think the bigger thing is that I thought that having to handle the ball, play make, and score took a lot out of Kawhi Leonard. I thought last year's playoffs, I didn't think that they were playing smart enough basketball, and I don't think Kawhi particularly enjoyed the fact that he had to bring it up and be their primary ball handler, decision maker, as well as their scorer. One of the details to Kawhi Leonard's career that I think is often overlooked is that he's played with terrific point guard plays his entire career, whether it's Tony Parker or Kyle Lowry. He's played with guys that can get the rest of the team and the rest of the offense moving and get him the ball in rhythm in places where he can score from consistently. And I think that Chris Paul would have definitely been able to do that. I totally agree that the Clippers are a loser by being unable to acquire him. We'll see if they get Rondo, though Rondo is so temperamental, and you have to wait to the playoffs and wait till he cares about basketball for to get the best out of Rajon Rondo. But I definitely agree with you. It was a big loss for them not to get Chris Paul.
And Thunder, for the Thunder's aspect, we haven't really touched on it. I don't think they have the team to make the playoffs. I mean, we were wrong last time in saying that. But Chris Paul is definitely better than Rubio is now. Although, how that will impact their future, that's to be seen. But they still have so many assets and picks, as well as young prospects. Gilgeous-Alexander is really good. So I think they're more of a long-term team in the fact that this draft, they're going to have a few selections, and they're mainly looking possibly for free agency or Presti to make trades. And
right,
he's amazing at making trades. So I think in the long term they have a bright future.
He's also one of the better drafters in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like, because Kevin Durant was obvious, but Russell Westbrook and James Harden weren't obvious picks, and he picked them both because he saw the long-term superstardom. Whatever you think of them, they're superstars, or they have been superstars in the league for a long time. So I think it's going to come down to the Thunder's rebuild. Can Presti pull off magic again? Because they're going to have all the assets in the world, but as Boston has proven, if you can't get like a franchise-changing type player, then all these assets after a while just become moot. Because ultimately, like, look at Boston. I thought by trading Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, they were gonna get they got all these assets from Brooklyn. They had all these top picks, and yeah, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum look like future superstars, right? They look really good, but they're missing that one guy to push them over the top. And Gordon Hayward or Kemba aren't that guy, and maybe Jason Tatum will become that guy, but we don't know.